Well, this week, Sean, let's get into our conversation about 5 signs that maybe you're doing better than you think you are. We got this, I think it's Kiplinger. Yeah, it's a Kiplinger article. We're going to talk about it a little bit. We'll put a link into it for the show description in the show descriptions for folks. But these are kind of like 5 signs that, when everybody comes to see a financial advisor, typically it's like, oh my God, they're going to tell me that the sky is falling. And these are 5 signs that if you're doing these things, you might be in better shape than you realize, right? So we're going to talk
Right.
about that and see if that relates to what you guys see as well. How you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing well. I'm
Yeah.
doing well. Summer is over and kids are back in school, so we have some normalcy back in our lives.
Nice, nice. Well, tell me what you think about these, right? So as you're reading this article and stuff like, I think, first of all, I guess you have to just ask yourself, what's your idea of being richer, right? Or what's your idea of being rich? But kind of removing whatever
Right.
personal thing you have about it. If you're doing these 5 steps, do you think that this puts people in a better shape than folks who maybe don't, right? So let's
Sure.
just talk about it. Emergency fund. Let's just start there. If you've got one, I think it's 3 out of 6, 3 to 6 months or whatever. But I think it's something
Mhm.
crazy like a huge percentage of people don't even have $1,000 for an $1,000 emergency, right? That's like
Right.
pretty terrifying. And COVID taught that lesson too.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's funny we talk about wealth and wealth means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Like
Sure.
wealth
Yeah.
is wealth like the status, well, I can go out and I can buy the newest, you know, Mercedes, or I
Right.
can take trips, or I've got a boat, or I've got things. Is wealth time?
Okay.
Am I wealthy because I have time that I can do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, how I want to do them? Is wealth? Am I wealthy because I can give, to people or to charities or to whatever it may be?
Right.
And so when we start to look at like signs that you're secretly wealthy, like this is just the financial side. And I get this question. We get this question almost every time we meet with somebody. Sean, how are we doing in comparison
To somebody else.
to
Yeah.
your average client? And that could be, I mean, and that's a hard answer, right? Like, the person that has $1 million or $3 million saved for retirement, their life may be in shambles, right? Their expenses may be too high, their
Sure.
cash
Yeah.
flow may be too low, and they haven't saved enough. The person with 600,000 may be in great shape because they've got a pension, they've got a real good source of income, their expenses aren't out of whack. And so you start to look at what does wealth mean. So when we're talking about like preparing for an emergency fund, like having money that you can just go get whenever you need it. When, oh my gosh, a hot water heater went out, our basement's flooding, we need to get a new one today.
Right.
That's maybe a sign that you're doing better than the average person. You can just
Exactly. And think about this too. Murphy's funny. Murphy's law is funny, right? Like when we've all gone through stages in life, and so typically when you're younger, you don't have as many resources. Murphy's law, like things happen when you don't have the resources. You ever notice that?
Mhm.
But when you
Yeah.
have them, and I was thinking, somebody made that comment to me the other day. I thought, I think they still happen. I just don't think they stress you out as much because you can fix the water heater, maybe because you do have the emergency fund.
Like it's a non-issue because you've got, all right, hey, you know what? I know that I've got money saved. In the event that this happens, it happened. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna grab that cash,
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend it, and I'm just gonna move on with my day.
Yeah. And so that's a great first step or first sign that you're, better shape than you realize, wealthier than you think you are, right?
Right.
I'll adapt this one just a little bit, Sean. You live below or within your means. If you can pull this off, man, you're a long way away to winning the game here.
Right. And unfortunately for the everyday American, we're not the government.
Well,
Right.
right. And there's the key word. Because look, if anybody's got the market cornered on spending, it's Americans. We know how to do it. We know how to consume stuff, right?
Oh yeah, we are a consumer spending economy. The downside is we don't get to just raise our debt ceiling or spend well above our revenue sources.
Like the
And
government, right?
so when you're looking at like how well am I doing as an average everyday American,
Hmm.
if my income's 10,000 a month and my expenses are 8, you're doing pretty well, right? And
You're doing
can
great.
you reduce your expenses further? Can you increase your earning potential? But at the end of the day, most people want their incomes to exceed their expenses, and that's what makes them comfortable in retirement.
I mean, I think if you can tackle this step, this is a tough one. It's like controlling credit cards, right? If you're responsible with it, it's a great tool. If you're not, they can bite you in the rear end, So
It's going to be a rough road ahead.
yeah, exactly.
Potentially.
Step 3, if you invest strategically, and so I'll frame it this way, Sean, I'll let you take it where you want. If you just do the target date fund at work because it's easy, and you don't have to think about it, and money's not your thing, and finance isn't your thing, or whatever, cool, you're doing something, proud of you, absolutely, like sincerely, right? But if you're thinking strategically and you're doing other things and maximizing those efforts, then again, this is a sign you're wealthier than you might think you are.
Well, what does strategic thinking look like?
Okay.
So strategic thinking is, all right, I'm going to save in these stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, whatever it may be, right? But if you become more strategic in your thinking about where you're placing your assets,
okay,
and what I mean by that is I'm going to max out my 401k, and I'm going to, if your income levels allow for it, I'm going to max out a Roth. So now I'm using pre-tax dollars, I'm using post-tax dollars, and then I'm going to invest in a brokerage account after tax dollars. So if we're strategically planning where we're placing assets, pre-tax, post-tax, after tax, and we're able to do that, now not only do we have different layers of investments, we have different layers of tax law that affects our investments. And so if we're strategically thinking about where we're putting money from a tax perspective, you're probably better off than you think. And you're putting yourself well on this path of prosperity down the road for retirement.
Yeah. And that walks right into the next one on this list, which is income streams. So if you just go into it saying, well, I'm going to have my 401k, I'm going to have my target date fund that I've been putting in, for all my years working, and Social Security, that's multiple. Well, technically, yeah, that's true. But I think if, looking again for being wealthier in better shape than you realize, what if you have some other income streams in place too, right?
Yeah. What if you decided to go out and do an Airbnb and you've got rental income coming in? There's some tax benefit to that. What if you not only invest in your 401k, but in our previous example, you're in Roth, you're in post-tax savings, and now you've got income from all three sources coming in.
Right.
And then maybe you create a side hustle or whatever it may be, but you've got multiple income streams coming from different sources, all accomplishing your end goal, which is giving you more money than you need on a monthly basis.
Yeah, maybe you make music on the side and you make money off of that. I just got my sweet BMI royalty check in today for the songs that I write and stuff, and it won't buy me a new car, but it adds to the list, right? So
I love it.
So there's lots of things, and I think people sometimes, because everybody's got something, I think, right? And sometimes we tend to not think about it like in a holistic picture, which is really the last piece of this, right? Which is like, are you focused on the long term and really thinking about all the different little puzzle pieces that make up a long-term strategy, other than just the today or the tomorrow?
Well, and it's the one word that I use today is patience, right? Like,
yeah.
So my wife and I, we're very strict on how we spend our money. We're
Okay. All right.
Very
strategic.
We follow guidelines. We have a budget. We only do things when we can pay cash for it. Like, there's a lot of parameters that we put in place personally, so we can not only prepare ourselves but help prepare our kids for college, retirement, all those things.
Right.
And we're having this conversation today because we're in the process of doing some work on our house as far as updating her office. And I joked, I was like, God, the next thing on the list is that, because I've wanted a Ford Bronco for years and years since they came out.
Okay.
I haven't bought one yet.
Okay.
Because I have a perfectly good truck, and now it's like, we joked about it. I'm like, oh, okay, next bucket list item is that Ford Bronco.
Okay.
But that discussion was, I can get the Bronco when our post-tax, after-tax savings account has reached a certain threshold and we can pay cash for it.
Gotcha.
Those are the two parameters that we have in place to get this little short-term, fun goal.
But it's still long-term thinking for a short-term goal.
Yeah. So we have parameters put in place. So as you think about, I want the new boat, or I want this, or I want that, or I want to save, give yourself the ability to spend some money as you reach certain milestones as you go. And if you've got, one of my favorite stories of all time still is one of our families that we work with. They retired confidently, and then they took their entire family on vacation because they knew that they could do that with the funds that they had.
Yeah.
And we're talking 40 people.
Oh, so wow.
It's
wow.
So reward yourself, right? Like finance savings is really addicting. I think like the more that you save, the more you want to save, but don't forget to give yourself permission to spend a little bit of money if you're reaching goals.
Yeah. I don't know that 40 people like me enough to go on a vacation.
I don't have 40 people in my family. So
well, let's go together. We'll go on vacation together.
Perfect.
Good stuff. Now, but that's so again, right? A lot of times people, kind of feel like I'm not there. I'm not going to be ready. I'm not going to be able to retire, whatever the case is. So if you're doing some of this stuff and you don't feel rich, checking some of these boxes may mean you're really actually on a much better path than you realize. Yeah. And I'll close it with this, Sean. How many times does somebody come into your office, a new prospect, and they're like, I don't have enough. And you go looking and you're like, yeah, you do. Or you're really close. It happens more times than not. People often think that they're not in good shape. And I talk to advisors all across the country, and they often tell me more people are in better shape than they realize.
Well, because they don't know. They're taught to save. And they're never taught, like, what does that math problem actually look like?
Yeah.
It's that, it's the ING orange number or Voya or whatever it was.
Right.
Know your number. And it really gets down to, well, the numbers tell me, or the talking heads tell me I have to have $2.5 million or whatever that number is.
Yeah.
I don't even know, because I don't care what they say you need.
Right.
I care what you actually need to retire.
Yep. Exactly. All right, folks. Well, do yourself a favor. Do your retirement a favor. Reach out to Sean and his team. Get yourself some time onto the calendar. He's the managing partner at Elevated Retirement Group, and you can find links to their website and everything right here in the show notes, as well as the article we were discussing today from Kiplinger. So click on one of those links and go check that out. Make sure you reach out to Sean and his team. Like I said, you always want to take time to talk with a professional before you take any action on something you hear on our show or any other, everybody and their brother out there does something with financial stuff now. So make sure you're actually doing it with somebody who actually has licenses and has been doing this for many years, like Sean and his team. Again, you can find them down below at elevatemyretirement.com. That's elevatemyretirement.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. Certainly helps out the channel and helps us bring continued content to you. We appreciate it. Have a great day, Sean. I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
This video has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this video is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Mark Killian and Third Wheel Media LLC receive compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this video.